The sky was fire-dot in the cold silence of space. Whole fleets of alien warships burned. Massive cruisers broke apart like fragile glass. The mighty banners of the Galactic Empire, once feared across the stars, were nothing but scraps of light, torn apart by explosions. The Empire's enemies had finally gathered together, and they were striking without mercy. From a distance, far beyond the smoke and wreckage, another set of ships watched quietly. They did not fire. They did not move. Their sleek hulls reflected the red glow of dying empires. They were human ships, but no one noticed them. No one expected them. To the galaxy, humanity was still a young species, too small to matter, too weak to take part in such a great war. Yet here they were, sitting in silence at the edge of history. Inside one of the ships, the atmosphere was tense. Rows of human officers leaned close to their consoles, watching the collapse of the Galactic Empire. They spoke in whispers, as though afraid their voices might disturb the death of the civilization. "What are we doing here?" one officer muttered. His hands shook as he saw an alien dreadnought split in half by a storm of plasma fire. "Why? Aren't we helping? Why aren't we leaving?" The commander gave no answer. The humans only watched. Every minute, the battle grew worse. Alien cruisers rammed each other. Starfire lit up the void. The Galactic Empire was screaming, but no one came to save it. The galaxy had turned against its oldest ruler, and now the ruler was falling. On the human flagship, silence stretched like a blade. Then finally, a man in the shadows spoke. "Wait," he said. His voice was low, almost a whisper. "It's not over yet." The word sent a shiver through the room. Not over? The Empire was dying right in front of them. Its great fleets were ash and dust. Its leaders were trapped on burning flagships. What could possibly remain? No one asked him directly. They only glanced toward him, this mysterious officer who had been silent since the beginning. His eyes did not leave the battlefield. He seemed to see something others could not. Outside, the battle raged on. The Empire's command ship was surrounded, pounded from all sides. Its shields flickered, its guns failed, its hull cracked apart. The enemies of the Empire roared in victory, convinced the war was won. But the humans did not move. They simply waited. And in that waiting, a new fear began to rise. "Sir," whispered the young officer again, his voice trembling. "If it's not over, then what are we really watching?" The mysterious man finally turned his head. His eyes were cold, sharp, and far too calm for the chaos outside. "We are watching the death of an empire," he said softly. "But death is never the end. Something always comes after." The bridge fell silent. His words hung heavy in the air. Something always comes after. The humans leaned forward, unable to look away from the burning fleets. They felt it too now, an unease crawling under their skin. The Empire was dying, yes, but something about this moment felt wrong. Too clean, too fast, too simple. "Why are we here?" the officer asked again. His voice cracked. "Why us? Why humanity?" No one answered. Outside, the galaxy celebrated. Dozens of alien factions were winning their long-awaited revenge. Their fleets filled the skies with victory fire. The Empire was falling, and they believed they were free. But on the human ships, no one cheered. Instead, they listened to the silence between the explosions. They felt the weight of the unknown pressing closer. And again, the mysterious officer whispered, almost to himself, "Wait." The bridge crew glanced at each other nervously. Their hands hovered over their consoles, waiting for an order that never came. The humans were not here to fight. They were here to witness, to watch, to remember. But why? Why send ships into the heart of a galactic war, only to sit in silence? One young ensign leaned toward his captain. "Sir, What if this is a trap? What if the Empire planned this? The captain did not answer. His gaze stayed locked on the man in the shadows, the one who seemed to know more than anyone else. Another explosion rocked the void. A massive alien carrier broke apart, its wreckage scattering like burning stars. The enemy fleets pressed forward, chasing victory, yet the humans stayed perfectly still, waiting, watching, listening. And then something strange. In the distance, beneath the fire and smoke, a shadow began to move. It was slow, massive, and ancient. Not a ship, not a fleet. Something else. Something deeper. The mysterious officer's lips curved into the faintest smile. "Now," he whispered, "you will see why we are here." The humans leaned forward, their hearts pounding. Fear and wonder filled their eyes. The battle outside seemed to fade, replaced by that one shadow rising through the flames. Something was coming. Something the galaxy had forgotten, and humanity was the only one watching. The battle raged on in the void of space. Alien fleets burned like dying stars. The proud banners of the Galactic Empire, once feared across countless worlds, now floated as broken wrecks among shattered hulls. The empire that ruled for thousands of years was collapsing before the eyes of the galaxy. But far away, hidden in the shadows of a dead moon, small human ships waited silently. Their black hulls reflected no light. Their engines were quiet, leaving no trace. To the war, they were invisible. Inside one of those ships, the crew watched the destruction with tense faces. Their screens showed the chaos flames, explosions, drifting corpses, and desperate cries over open channels. "Empire fleets are finished," whispered Lieutenant Aaron, his hands gripping the console. "Why are we still waiting?" The question hung in the air like heavy smoke. Everyone wanted to ask it, but no one dared speak too loudly. At the center of the room, Commander Howell stood with arms folded. His eyes were cold, fixed on the display. He had not moved for hours, like a statue, carved from stone. Then a faint sound broke the silence. A whisper. "Wait. It's not over yet." It came from a figure at the back of the command deck, a human officer cloaked in shadow. His name was Captain Dorian. His voice was low, but it carried a strange weight. The crew turned their heads toward him, uneasy. "What do you mean?" Aaron asked nervously. "The Empire's fleets are falling apart. The rebels are crushing them. This is the end." Dorian's eyes glowed faintly in the dim light. "Empires do not die this easily. Something else waits in the dark. Watch closely." And so they watched. On the screen, a massive Imperial dreadnought exploded, sending shockwaves through space. Rebel fighters cheered over comms, screaming victory. Alien broadcasters already declared the Empire defeated. But Hale's jaw tightened. He trusted Dorian. That whisper meant danger. Minutes passed. Silence filled the hidden human ship, broken only by the hum of machinery. Then it happened. From the far side of the battlefield, space rippled. A strange energy wave spread outward, bending light, shaking scanners. The wreckage of ships floated, twisting unnaturally, as if pulled by invisible chains. Then they came. A second Imperial fleet emerged, bigger, darker, armed with weapons no one had seen before. Gasps filled the human bridge. The rebels froze in confusion. Their victory cries turned into screams of terror. "What is that?" Aaron whispered, his voice trembling. Dorian's lips curled into the faintest smile. "The true Empire, the fleet they never showed. Now you see why we waited." The new ships cut through the rebels like blades through glass. Massive beams of energy carved entire squadrons apart. Gravity weapons dragged rebel cruisers together until they crushed each other into dust. Whole wings of fighters vanished in seconds. Rebel leaders shouted for retreat, But it was too late. The Empire had revealed its hidden claws dot inside the human ship. Fear spread among the crew. If the rebels fall, one officer said, shaking, the Empire will rise again, stronger than ever. But Halle remained calm. He finally turned too. Face his people. No, that is why we are here. Not to watch the rebels win. Not to see the Empire die. We are here for this moment. Dorian stepped forward, his eyes gleaming. Send the signal. The crew hesitated. Signal? To who? Hale's voice was sharp. Do it. Aaron's hands moved over the console, heart pounding. He transmitted a coded burst across the void, silent, invisible, undetectable by alien technology. Only humans could read it. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, across the battlefield, rebel ships flickered with strange energy. Systems that were broken suddenly came back online. Shields reignited. Weapons glowed brighter than before. What, how? Aaron gasped. We're fixing their ships? No, Dorian whispered. We're giving them something more. The rebel fleets roared back to life, moving with impossible speed, there. Weapons cutting through the Imperial fleet like fire through paper. Alien commanders screamed in confusion. The Empire's secret fleet, once unstoppable, now faltered. Ships that were invincible minutes ago cracked apart under sudden power. The humans did not cheer. They only watched, faces grim. Aaron turned to Halle. Sir, what did we just do? Hale's eyes were cold, his voice steady. We gave them knowledge. Just enough to win. But why not fight ourselves? Aaron asked, shaking. Because, Halle said softly, the galaxy must never know how strong we truly are. Let them think the rebels went on their own. We are ghosts in the dark. We wait. We watch. We prepare. The crew fell silent. Outside, the rebel fleet screamed victory again, this time truly winning. The Empire's last hidden fleet burned in the void, collapsing into nothingness. But inside the hidden human ship, no one celebrated, because Dorian's whisper still echoed. In their minds, it's not over yet. And deep in the shadows of space, far from the battle, something vast stirred, something older than tea. The galaxy thought the war was ending. Alien empires cheered as the Galactic Empire fell apart. Fleets burned in the void, worlds broke free, and proud Imperial commanders surrendered. For most, it was a victory. But the humans did not cheer. They watched in silence, their ships hidden, their signals dark. No one in the galaxy knew why humanity had come to watch this war. Humans had never joined galactic battles before. They were quiet, careful, always avoiding big conflicts. But now, human ships floated on the edge of the battlefield, recording every move, every explosion, every surrender. Commander Elias stood at the bridge of the human vessel horizon. His eyes were fixed on the chaos outside. Alien fleets moved, like wild animals, attacking the collapsing empire with greed. Everyone wanted territory. Everyone wanted to claim victory. A young officer broke the silence. Sir, should we act now? Elias shook his head slowly. Not yet. We are not here to save anyone. We are here to watch. And to wait. The crew exchanged uneasy glances. Watching a galaxy tear itself apart felt strange. Some wanted to help. Some wanted to leave. But all of them trusted their commander, even if they didn't understand his plan. Far away, the Council of the Free Systems celebrated. The fall of the Empire meant new freedom. Alien leaders declared that a new age was beginning, an age without tyranny. They had no idea that something worse was moving in the shadows. The humans knew. They had intercepted strange transmissions weeks ago. Patterns hidden inside the chaos of war. Voices that didn't match any known species. Silent signals echoing behind the burning fleets. Elias had seen them. He knew what it meant. The Empire is not the real threat, Elias whispered to himself. The fall is only the beginning. Back on Earth, in deep underground chambers, hidden leaders watched the same battle through holograms. Generals, scientists, and analysts leaned forward as the data streamed in. One scientist pointed at the screen. Look here. The Empires. Collapse was too fast, too clean. Someone guided this. The room went quiet. Are you suggesting manipulation? A general asked. The scientist nodded. Yes, the war was not natural. Someone pushed the empires to strike at the same time. Someone planned the fall. The generals looked at one another. If true, this was not victory. This was a trap. Meanwhile, in space, human scouts whispered reports to Elias. Unknown movement detected beyond the rim, one said. Not Empire. Not rebels. Something else. Elias nodded. He expected this. That was why he told his crew to wait. That was why humans had stayed silent. They were not here to fight the Empire. They were here for what came after. Suspense built inside the human crew. Days passed. Fleets fought. The Empire shattered completely. Every alien power celebrated. Louder and louder. The galaxy was blind. One night, the horizon sensors caught it. Sir, the sensor officer said, voice shaking. Something massive just entered the system. The bridge filled with tension. On the screen, a shadow appeared. It was not like normal ships. Its size was enormous, its shape unfamiliar. It moved with frightening calm through the wreckage of burning fleets. The crew froze. What is that? Someone whispered. Elias did not answer at once. He only stared. Finally, he spoke. The reason we are here. The shadow ship drifted. Across the ruins, scanning, watching. It did not attack. It did not reveal itself fully. It just moved silently, like a predator waiting for the right moment. The humans had seen enough. Elias turned to his crew. Send the signal. Earth must. No. The officer nodded and began transmitting a coded burst of data back to Earth. As the message left the ship, the shadow turned. For the first time, it noticed them. The bridge filled with alarms. It's scanning us, shouted the officer. The crew panicked. If this thing attacked, they would not survive. But the shadow did not fire. It only paused, as if curious. Then, in a voice that shook every speaker on the ship, it spoke in a language no human knew, yet somehow they understood. We see you. The crew froze. Fear gripped their hearts. The shadow slowly moved away, disappearing into the dark void. Silence filled the human ship. Nobody breathed. Nobody spoke. Finally, Elias whispered the words that chilled them all. The fall of the Empire was not the end. It was the invitation. On Earth, the signal arrived. Leaders stared at the strange recording. The voice echoed in the chambers. We see you. The room went silent. For the first time in history, Earth's leaders looked at one another with true fear. This was not just war. This was something much larger. And humanity was already inside it. The Galactic Empire was burning. Star systems that once swore loyalty now rebelled. Fleets that once stood unbroken were reduced to drifting wreckage. But deep inside the Imperial throne world, the last ruler of the Empire refused to surrender. The Emperor, cloaked in black armor, stood in a chamber lit by fire and smoke. Around him, his advisors trembled, their voices weak. My lord, the fleets are gone. The outer colonies are lost. The Council has abandoned us. We must flee. One alien cried. The Emperor's eyes burned. His voice was calm, almost too calm. No, they think the Empire is finished. They laugh as our ships fall. They think we are broken. But they do not know what waits beneath the stars. He raised a hand, and the floor of the chamber rumbled. A giant hologram appeared above the table, showing a map of the galaxy. At its center, a region of black space flickered. Few had ever dared to enter that dark sector. It was forbidden even to the Empire's own citizens. The Emperor whispered, almost like a curse. The Oblivion engine. The advisors gasped. Some fell to their knees. My lord, that weapon was sealed away for a reason. It was unstable. Even the first emperors feared it. The Emperor smiled bitterly. Fear is for the weak. The Oblivion engine is not unstable. It is the Empire's salvation. With it, I will not only destroy our enemies, I will erase their worlds, their histories, their very existence. Meanwhile, far beyond the throne world, the humans were still watching. Commander Holly sat inside his hidden command ship, his eyes fixed on the transmissions. The battle outside was winding down. The rebels had won. Alien fleets cheered, declaring the end of the Empire. But Holly wasn't smiling. He leaned forward, voice low. Something feels wrong. Too easy. The Empire doesn't die without venom. What are we missing? Beside him, Lieutenant Rena frowned. She had been studying the encrypted signals coming from the throne world. Sir, I found something. A hidden code repeated across their transmissions. It doesn't match any known fleet commands. It's older. Ancient, maybe. Hale's jaw tightened. He knew what it meant. They're waking something up. At that moment, the galaxy trembled. From the Forbidden's black sector near the throne world, a massive structure stirred. It was not a ship, not in the way others understood ships. It was a machine so vast that moons looked like dust beside it. Its surface glowed with crimson veins of power, pulsing like a living heart. The rebels who had been celebrating froze in horror. Their commanders sent frantic orders. Ships turned to flee. But it was already too late. The Oblivion engine had awakened God. It did not fire weapons. It did not launch missiles. Instead, space itself twisted. A rebel fleet, once proud and victorious, vanished in an instant as if erased from reality. Not destroyed. Not broken. Erased. Whole planets screamed as their skies turned red. Cities vanished into silence. Generations of history were swallowed, leaving nothing behind but empty space. The Emperor's voice spread across the galaxy, cold and merciless. You thought the Empire was finished. You thought you could laugh at us, but we are eternal. And with the Oblivion engine, I will make sure your kind never existed. Back on the human command ship, silence filled the bridge. Officers stared at the destruction, their hands shaking. Sir? Lieutenant Rena whispered. That thing. It's not just a weapon. It's rewriting space itself. Commander Hale's face was pale, but his eyes burned with determination. The fools. The Empire has doomed itself. That engine isn't stable. It's too powerful, too dangerous. If they use it long enough, they won't just erase their enemies. They'll erase themselves. Another officer spoke, his voice trembling. Then why are we still here? Why are humans still watching? Hale finally stood, his voice firm. Because this is why we came. The galaxy thought humans were weak. They thought we had no place in their wars. But we've known about the Oblivion engine longer than they realize, and we've been preparing. A deep silence followed. Hale looked out the viewport, watching as the red glow spread across the stars. The Empire thinks they're holding the ultimate weapon. They don't understand. That machine was never built by them. It was older, much older, and humanity knows the truth. He turned to his crew, his voice calm but sharp like a blade. We didn't come to watch the Empire fall. We came because when that machine awakens, someone must be here to stop it. Suspense gripped every soul aboard the human fleet. The galaxy was breaking. Empires were falling. And now, humans stood at the edge of a secret they had kept hidden for generations. The Emperor believed he had the last weapon. But humanity was about to show the galaxy something far more dangerous: the truth. The galaxy was holding its breath. News of the Galactic Empire's defeat spread like fire through every star system. Alien fleets celebrated. Old enemies raised their flags of freedom. But amid the noise, there was one voice missing. The humans, they had not spoken. They had not moved. They had only watched. Now, in the ashes of the Empire, whispers began. Why were the humans still silent? What were they waiting for? Inside the human observation ship, the crew sat in silence. Dozens of alien signals filled the air, praising victory and mocking the dead Empire. But the humans were not laughing. They were listening, calculating. Captain Eric stood near the observation deck, his face unreadable. The younger crew members shifted nervously. The Empire was gone, but the danger was not. "Sir," one of the officers asked quietly, "the war is over. Shouldn't we reveal ourselves?" Eric's eyes stayed fixed on the empty void outside. The Empire's wreckage still floated there, like broken bones of a giant beast. "No," he whispered. "The war is not over. The Empire was only a mask. Something else is coming." The officer frowned. "Something else? From where?" But Eric did not answer. Got far across the galaxy. The surviving lords of the Empire were not finished. In hidden vaults, deep in forgotten space, they had left something behind. Weapons, machines, and one last weapon, a fleet built in silence, waiting for the day the Empire would fall. It was called the Phantom Armada. Ships without crews. Engines that burned black fire. It was a last curse upon the galaxy. If the Empire could not rule, then no one would. And now it was awakening. On the council worlds, the freed races celebrated wildly. They thought their chains were broken forever. Leaders raised toasts. Armies marched home. But when the first shadow appeared, their joy turned to dread. From the edge of space, massive black ships emerged, silent, endless. Their hulls reflected no light. Their engines made no sound. They were death itself, moving through the void. Alien fleet tried to intercept them. In minutes, it was gone. The survivors screamed across open channels. They are not alive. They are machines. They cannot be stopped. The galaxy realized the truth too late. The Empire's final hand had been played. The Phantom Armada was death without mercy. And still, the humans did not move. The council called them. They begged. Them, humans, you watched the Empire fall. You must see what is happening. Help us. But the humans stayed quiet. Inside the observation ship, silence ruled. The crew wanted to speak, to demand answers, but Captain Eric's calm eyes froze. Them in place. Finally, a young officer broke the silence. "Sir, why don't we help them? Entire civilizations are being destroyed. Why do we wait?" Eric turned slowly, his voice low but firm. "Because timing is everything. The galaxy still thinks we are weak, still thinks we are nothing. If we strike too early, they will not understand. They must see the truth with their own eyes. Only then will they believe." Another officer clenched his fists. "And if we wait too long?" Eric's gaze turned hard as steel. "Then there will be no galaxy left to save." Across space, the Phantom Armada spread like a storm. Worlds burned. Fleets were erased. Entire races cried for help, but none could answer. The freed galaxy that had laughed only days ago was now silent with fear. And then the humans moved, not with noise, not with speeches, but with silence. A single human signal pulsed across space. It was not a cry for help. It was not a declaration of war. It was a command, and from the dark corners of space, ships began to awaken. Not alien ships, not Empire ships, but something different, something the galaxy had never seen, vessels that bore no flags, hulls that looked old, even broken, but inside burned engines far beyond alien design. These were not fleets built for glory. They were built for survival, built in silence while the galaxy mocked. The humans had not been idle. They had been preparing. On the observation ship, Captain Eric watched the displays light up. One by one, hidden human fleets activated. The officers stared in shock. "Sir, how many ships do we have?" Eric finally smiled. "Enough," a young officer whispered. "But why now?" "Because," Eric said softly, "the galaxy is finally ready to see what humans truly are." The Phantom Armada advanced, erasing another alien fleet. It seemed unstoppable. But then, in the darkness ahead, lights appeared. Human ships, silent, waiting. The alien commanders gasped as their sensors picked up the impossible. Ships they had never seen. Energy readings beyond their science. Engines that bent the void itself. The Phantom Armada slowed. For the first time, the death machines hesitated, and then Captain Eric gave the order. "Engage." The human fleet moved. The galaxy, once loud with laughter, once loud with fear, now fell into silence. Because in that moment, they saw something terrifying. Humans had been waiting, watching, preparing, and now they had arrived. The galaxy had changed forever. The Galactic Empire, once feared and unshakable, was no more. Its fleets were gone, its rulers silent, its banners torn and burning across the stars. What once looked eternal had crumbled in only weeks. But while the galaxy celebrated, whispered rumors spread. Humans had been there, watching, waiting, inside. The council hall of Karzan Prime, alien leaders gathered in secret. Their voices were tense, their eyes sharp with fear. "They were only observers," said a scaled governor, his claws clicking on the table. "They did not fire, they did not strike, and yet, why were they there? What did they know?" "A reptilian," Commander hissed. "Perhaps they were testing us. Perhaps they wanted to see if we could fall on our own." Silence followed. The idea was chilling. Humans had not raised a single fleet, not fired a single shot, and still the Empire had fallen while they watched far away. In the blackness between stars, the human fleet floated in stillness. Their ships were dark. No lights, no signals. They looked like shadows carved into the void. Inside the flagship Resolute, Commander Hall stood alone at the viewing window. His face was calm, his eyes distant, as though watching more than stars. "The galaxy thinks the war is over," whispered Captain Arya beside him. "They think the Empire's death means peace." Hale's jaw tightened. "Peace?" His voice was low, almost bitter. "No, this was only the first collapse. Now the galaxy will scramble for power. New rulers will rise. Old rivals will sharpen their claws." Arya shivered. "And us? Do we join them? Do we step into the open?" Hale turned to her, his expression unreadable. "Not yet. Let them fight. Let them believe we are still shadows. When the time comes, we will not need to fight for power. It will already belong to us." Weeks later, across shattered worlds, aliens argued and fought. Who would control the trade routes? Who would inherit the old throne? Who would rebuild the fleets? But one question always returned, whispered in dark halls and secret chambers. Why were humans there? Some said it was luck. Some said it was coincidence. But others swore. They saw human ships moving like predators, circling the battle. Not attacking, but watching closely, as if recording every move. On one broken planet, an alien warlord shouted at his council. "Fools! You don't see it?" They studied the Empire's death. They wanted to know what breaks a giant. And they learned it without losing a single man. The room went silent. None dared argue. In the shadows of space, Hale sat at a desk filled with reports. Each screen showed data collected from the warfleet movements, communication breakdowns, panic, spreading through the Empire before its fall. Humans had recorded everything. A young officer entered nervously. "Sir, the Council of Nyril has sent an invitation. They want us to join their alliance now that the Empire is gone." Hale didn't look up. "And what did we say?" "We refused, sir." "As ordered." Finally, Howell smiled faintly. "Good. Let them believe we prefer silence. Let them think we are too cautious. The less they know, the better." He leaned back in his chair and whispered to himself, "Silence is our greatest weapon." Across the galaxy, aliens waited for the day humans would step forward. But humans didn't. They remained quiet, hidden, patient. This silence terrified more than any weapon, because silence meant they were planning. Silence meant they were not finished. One night, on a lonely space station, a drunk alien officer told a group of mercenaries, "I was there, at the last battle. I saw them. They weren't watching the Empire die. No, they were watching us." The mercenaries laughed nervously, but no one argued. Deep down, they knew it was true. Back on the Resolute, Hall stood again at the window, staring at the stars. "Sir," Arya asked softly, "why did we do it? Why only watch? Why not strike when we had the chance?" Hale's voice was steady, almost cold, because a strike would show our strength. But silence shows something greater. It shows patience. It shows control, and it makes the galaxy afraid of what we might do next. He paused, his eyes sharp, unblinking. "And fear, Captain, fear lasts longer than any empire." The stars glimmered outside, vast and endless. Somewhere in the distance, new empires rose, but they already trembled at the thought of Earth. Because the humans had been there. They had seen everything, and they were waiting in silence, waiting until the stars themselves bowed.